When Lisa stepped out of the shower, I told her, "Sit down, we need to talk." She froze mid-step. Steam clung to her skin, but the fear in her eyes cut through the heat. In 12 years of marriage, I had never seen that look on her face, the look of someone staring at their own execution. But what I was about to confront her with had nothing to do with her affair with the personal trainer. It wasn't about the secret credit cards, or the lies about late nights at work. What I had discovered was far worse. So devastating that her cheating almost felt merciful by comparison. If you're ready for a story that will break everything you think you know about love, trust, and marriage, hit that subscribe button now, because what unfolded in our bedroom that night rewrote my life forever. My name is David, and 3 days before that confrontation, I thought my biggest problem was an unfaithful wife. Lisa's behavior had been off for months. Hush phone calls, strange charges, that guilty flush in her cheeks that any husband recognizes. I'd even hired a private investigator, who confirmed what I suspected. She was sleeping with Jake, her trainer. I was furious, hurt, and prepared to file for divorce. But I wanted to confront her first, to watch her explain away 12 years of what I thought was loyalty. So I cut my business trip to Chicago short, planning to catch her red-handed. But when I pulled into the driveway that Tuesday afternoon at 2 p.m., Jake's car wasn't there. Instead, an ambulance sat parked outside, lights flashing in silence. My chest tightened. I bolted to the door, but a paramedic stopped me. "Sir, are you the homeowner?" "Yes." "Where's my wife?" "What happened?" "She's fine, but you need to hear what we found inside." Inside, they'd discovered our golden retriever, Max, lying dead on the kitchen floor. But the horror wasn't just his death. It was the syringe beside him, and the missing vial of euthanasia drugs from Lisa's purse. Lisa was a veterinary technician. She had access to substances strong enough to kill a person in minutes. And then the paramedic told me something that made my blood freeze. "We also found a notebook hidden in your wife's dresser. You need to see this." It was Lisa's handwriting, but the words could not have been hers. Pages filled with calculations, timelines, dosages, and insurance notes. Months of planning my death. Max hadn't been the first test subject. According to her notes, the missing neighborhood cats over the past 6 months hadn't just vanished. She had been experimenting, perfecting her method, timing how long it would take. The final entry was marked for this weekend, the day I was supposed to return from Chicago. Later that day, Detective Morrison explained, "She's been slipping tiny doses into your coffee for weeks. Just enough to make you sluggish, unwell. She was conditioning your body, so when the fatal dose came, it would look like a natural heart attack." I thought back to every morning she'd brought me coffee in bed. Every night I'd collapse with exhaustion after dinner, believing she was taking care of me. In reality, she was preparing me for my own death. But why? I asked Morrison. The affair I could understand. But murder? That's when the detective revealed the truth. Lisa had forged my signature, quietly raising my life insurance policy to $1.2 million. She had taken out a secret loan against the house to pay Jake's gambling debts, leaving her owing more than $200,000 to dangerous people. She wasn't just cheating. She was plotting to kill me, to cash out my life and buy her way free. And in the middle of those cold, clinical notes, one entry gutted me more than anything else. "David is a good man. He doesn't deserve this. But Jake says it's the only way. I'll make sure he knows I loved him before he goes to sleep forever." She wanted me dead, but wanted me to believe she loved me as I took my last breath. Which brings us back to that night. Lisa stood in the bedroom doorway, hair damp, towel slipping, staring at me like she'd seen a ghost. "I know about Jake," I told her. Relief washed over her face. She even smiled, thinking an affair was survivable, something she could spin. "David, I can explain." "Can you explain the notebook, Lisa?" Her face drained of color. "Can you explain Max? The missing cats? The poison you've been slipping into my coffee?" Her knees buckled. She collapsed on the bed, trembling. "David," she whispered, "you weren't supposed to come home early." That was when I realized she wasn't denying it. She was upset her plan had been ruined. "How long?" I asked. "How long have you been planning this?" Through tears, not of guilt, but of frustration, she admitted. 8 months. Ever since Jake's debts. We needed money. Your insurance was the only way. So you chose murder. I didn't want to, she screamed. I was scared. Jake said they'd kill him, and me. I panicked. I couldn't stop. I stared at the woman I'd shared 12 years with, the one I trusted with my life, and realized I had never truly known her. Lisa, I said, there's something you need to hear. Mascara streaked her cheeks as she looked up. I forgive you. Her face twisted in disbelief. Not because you deserve it, I continued, but because I refuse to let hate poison me any further. You've already taken enough from me. She sobbed. But here's what's going to happen, I said, lifting my phone. I'm calling Detective Morrison. You're going to confess to every plan, every lie, every animal you killed while practicing for my death. David, please. And then you'll spend the rest of your life in prison, thinking about how you threw away a marriage with a man who would have given you anything, who would have helped you, who would have died for you willingly if you had just told me the truth. The police came that night. Lisa was arrested, charged with animal cruelty, attempted murder, fraud, and conspiracy. Jake was taken in 2 days later. At trial, I learned details that still keep me awake. She had memorized my schedule, mapped my routines, practiced injecting oranges with the lethal solution. She had even drafted a fake suicide note in my handwriting, ready to frame my death as despair over her affair. The real betrayal wasn't just infidelity. It wasn't even the murder plot. It was that she lived beside me every single day, smiling, laughing, sharing a bed, while secretly calculating the moment I would die. Lisa was sentenced to 25 years. Jake got 15. I sold the house, moved across the country, and started therapy. It's been 2 years and I'm learning slowly to trust again. I'm dating someone new. Her name is Sarah. She's patient with my quirks, the paranoia about coffee, the compulsive lock-checking, the shallow sleep when someone lies next to me. But I've learned something I'll never forget. The worst betrayals don't come from strangers. They come from the people who know us best, who know how to use our trust as a weapon. Lisa knew I loved her without question. She weaponized that love. And if I hadn't come home early, she would have succeeded. If this story chilled you, if it made you reconsider what trust really means, hit like and subscribe for more stories that peel back the darkest sides of human nature. Because sometimes the person sleeping beside you isn't dreaming about forever. Sometimes they're planning your end.